So what exactly is Barn Fresh Racing?
To start with, it's the name of the racing team that I race most of my old rusty junk under and have a lot of fun doing it. But beyond that, it's a little bit of a mentality as well. I mean, Barn Fresh Racing is determination against dollar signs. When I first started trying to get into sled racing, I basically had zero experience in doing so. But we knew we wanted to try it and we weren't going to give up. Just because you don't know how to do something doesn't mean you have to let it stop you from doing it.
Now, Barn Fresh Racing might have started out with a low budget, but we had some high motivation.
And that also brought along some expectations, or lack of expectations. You see, when you're going into something like that underfunded and, underknowledged, you know you're not going to automatically go out and win. But winning isn't something you're going to do right out of the gate anyways. You got to start from somewhere.
So just the fact that you're actually going to try and put something together and get out there on the track, that in itself is a big step.
Now, I won't bore you with all the stories of successes and failures. Well, mostly failures. But you got to keep persevering. And one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people, I think, miss is that they don't learn from those experiences. Sometimes you're going to get beat out by big money. That's just the way she goes.
I mean, do you go out to win? Of course. However, it ain't always going to happen.
And that's where having realistic goals, really plays a part in the whole trying to race and improve yourself. I mean, you may not win every race. Indeed, you're probably going to lose most races. However, if you can actually accomplish what you're trying to do on improving things, making it faster, learning something, that's where a lot of the real satisfaction, for me anyways, comes into it. Probably the most fun I've ever had racing was done on a machine that had almost no money into it. This old TXC was found under the eave of a barn. The motor was filled with water when I got it, built with all junk and secondhand parts. Only had one carbide on the outside. We just welded up and ground down one for the inside. Had a junk track. Only the finest of brakes. It might not have brought home first, but for $74 total investment, including the purchase of the sled, I thought that was a pretty big win. And this old sled has been going for years, getting improvements, some fixes along the way, but it's still been kept low buck. It might be held together with pop rivets
And chicken wire. But you don't need anything fancy.
It just needs to get the job done. And if I've learned anything over the years, it's that tuning, preparation, and setup goes so much further than you would think when you're just getting started. And you don't have to always get those improvements by just paying for them. Putting in some time and effort and learning about what you're working on can be a huge advantage. Because if you just pay somebody to work on something and make it fast, you don't go through the whole school of hard knocks and figuring out what went into it. And in the long run, that forces you to learn a lot of things that you normally wouldn't have to. Sometimes choosing the harder path ends up more interesting in the end. Barn Fresh Racing is all about trying to make the most of what you have to work with. And that means when something's not working right, or broken, or you don't have the money to fix it, you don't just give up. You get in there, you rebuild it, you scavenge parts from somewhere else, and you got to get it done. It's a state of mind where you sort of have to embrace the unpreparedness of just dragging it out of the barn and putting it on the track. Striving for perfection is great and all, unless that's keeping you from actually getting out there and doing it. Don't worry about keeping the paint shiny. That doesn't make you go faster. It's like people with muscle cars a lot of times when they're trying to restore them. It sits in the garage for years as they're trying to get the bodywork straight, the paint perfect, all the trim pieces, and you're never actually out there using it and enjoying it. It's better to get out there and actually do it, use it, and try than it is necessarily to wait until you finish it. I mean, you're not supposed to be up until midnight or 1 o'clock the day before trying to get stuff thrown back together. Where's the fun in that? Because time and money are always in short supply. If we weren't Barn Fresh Racing, we'd be last minute racing, because there's no minute like the last minute to get something done. Now, I'm not saying you go out there without any functioning brakes or a wheel that's going to fall off. I mean, you got to make stuff actually work and be safe to run.
I mean, because you really can't win if you don't finish the race.
Some of the best stories you hear about from back in the day were like independent racers that went up against the big factories, and all they had to compete with was their grit and ingenuity on trying to make their stuff work. I love it when the underdog comes from the back of the pack and wins a race. Some of the most fun I've had at times were when I was completely outgunned, machine wasn't ready, but by golly, we was out there trying. So get on out there and have some fun. Race what you got, build what you can. You just got to keep your standards low and your spirits high.